A very good morning, class 7. I am your science teacher from Springfields Public School. Children, we were studying chapter 11, respiration. We studied the respiration in various organisms, and we also studied the various organs participating in respiration in human beings. Today we are going to study the mechanism of breathing in human beings. So we will study this mechanism through an experiment or activity in your book at page number 121. Take a transparent plastic bottle. Remove its bottom. Take a rubber cork or the cap of bottle, Y-shaped plastic tube and 2 deflated balloons. Now, to each fork end of the tube, fix the balloons with the help of sellotape, cap the bottle, put the tube attached with balloons inside the bottle from its open bottom. Make a hole in the cap and pass the open end of the tube outside the bottle through the hole. Now, tie a rubber sheet at the bottom of the bottle tightly so that no air can pass through it. Now, pull down the rubber sheet and watch the balloons getting filled with air, means inflated. Now, push the rubber sheet inside the bottle and watch the balloons collapse. How do the balloons get inflated or deflated? When we pull or push the rubber sheets. Look here, when we pull the rubber sheet outwards, the space inside the bottle increases and the air inside the bottle becomes lighter. ज़्यादा स्पेस और ज़्यादा एयर स्प्रेड होती है और हल्की हो जाती है और बाहर से डेंस एयर बलून के अंदर आती है. जो बॉटल की बाहर ओपनिंग है वहाँ से एयर एंटर करती है और ट्यूब से होती हुई दोनों ब्रांचेस ट्यूब से बलून्स के अंदर चली जाती है. फिर जब हम रबर शीट को अंदर पुश करते हैं तो स्पेस कम हो जाता है और एयर का प्रेशर इंक्रीज होता है और प्रेशर ज़्यादा होने से एयर इज़ पुश्ड आउट ऑफ द बलून एंड balloons get deflated, means पिचक जाते हैं. Now let us see how this correlates to the breathing system. Now children, body is representing our body. Empty space or cavity inside the body is filled with air and this cavity is called body cavity. The rubber sheet is the diaphragm which divides the body into two parts and the upper part is called the chest cavity. Y-shaped tube is representing the trachea and bronchi and the balloons are representing here the lungs which are situated in the chest cavity, and the opening of the tube outside the bottle is the opening in the nose representing nostrils. When diaphragm goes down, it makes the chest cavity larger. बिल्कुल वैसे जैसे हमने जब रबर शीट को बाहर खींचा था तो बॉटल में स्पेस ज़्यादा हो गया था. फिर बाहर से ऑक्सीजन रिच एयर विंड पाइप में नॉस्ट्रल्स के थ्रू आती है. जैसे एक्सपेरिमेंट में देखा वैसे ही एयर एंटर्स द ब्रोंकाई एंड एयर Y-shaped ट्यूब से बलून्स में आ जाती है. सेम वे द एयर गोज टू द लंग्स एंड द बलून्स गेट इन्फ्लेटेड, मीन्स ऑक्सीजन रिच एयर से भर जाते हैं. सेम वे जब रबर शीट को अंदर पुश करते हैं या डायफ्राम अंदर जाता है तो एयर इज़ पुश्ड अप बिकॉज द चेस्ट कैविटी बिकम्स स्मॉलर एंड एयर बिकम्स डेंसर. लंग्स पर प्रेशर पड़ता है और एयर उसी रास्ते से बॉडी से बाहर चली जाती है. मीन्स फ्रॉम लंग्स टू ब्रोंकाई टू विंड पाइप and to nasal cavity, then to nostrils and then finally out of the body. Clear, children? So we can say this, that breathing is controlled by the movement of the diaphragm. Okay? Now, next is cellular respiration. The blood takes the oxygen to all the cells of the body. Blood has a substance called the hemoglobin, which binds itself with the oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. So it is in this form that oxygen is carried through the blood, and cellular respiration occurs in the cell. During cellular respiration, the sugar molecule in the food are oxidized to form carbon dioxide and water, and energy is given out. So the reaction we can read like this, that a molecule of glucose, that is C6H12O6 plus 6 oxygen is equal to 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water and plus energy is given out. So this is similar to the chemical reaction that occurs during the burning or the combustion. Now, although the chemical reaction that occur during burning or combustion is same to the cellular respiration, still there are some differences in the combustion and cellular respiration. Let us study them. Combustion is a fast process, whereas cellular respiration is a slow process. Combustion occurs at high temperature, whereas cellular respiration occurs at body temperature. Combustion can occur anywhere, whereas cellular respiration occurs only in living cells. And energy is released in a single step in the form of heat and light in combustion, whereas energy is released in steps and stored in the chemical molecule called ATP in case of cellular respiration. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. This molecule is responsible for all cellular mechanisms and processes in the living organisms. And detail you will study in higher classes. And next is difference between breathing and cellular respiration. Children, breathing is a physical process of exchange of gases. No chemical reaction takes place. But in cellular respiration, you have read that chemical reaction of oxidation of food takes place. Breathing takes place outside the cells, whereas cellular respiration inside the cells. And in breathing, there is no release of energy, whereas in cellular respiration, there is release of energy. Clear, children? So next is types of respiration. For this, come to page number 123 of your book. Children, we have studied that respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen, and this is called aerobic respiration. And depending upon the presence of oxygen, we can divide the respiration into two types. They are aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So in aerobic respiration, food in the form of glucose is oxidized to produce carbon dioxide and water. And in this process, energy is released. Aerobic respiration is carried out in almost all plants and animals. But there are some organisms such as yeast and some bacteria which can live without oxygen. You have studied about yeast in chapter 2. Yeast reproduces by budding, and it is used in the fermentation for breads. Okay, and in yeast cell, glucose is broken into alcohol and carbon dioxide without using oxygen. So oxygen is not used to give the energy, and so the process is called anaerobic. Anaerobic means without oxygen. And the amount of energy given out in anaerobic respiration is very less than in aerobic respiration. Now, let us study about yeast. Yeast is a unicellular organism that respires anaerobically, and it is used to make alcohol, and it is also used to make beer and wine. Okay. Children, let us study the anaerobic respiration in living organisms. Anaerobic respiration means respiration in the absence of oxygen. For this, take some water and allow it to boil for 15 minutes so that the oxygen which is dissolved in the water, it gets removed by boiling. Now take that water in these two flasks, flask A and flask B. Put that water without oxygen in these two flasks and seal the flask with the help of a cork and allow the water to be cooled. When the water gets cooled, open the seal and add some glucose in the water in the flask A as well as the flask B. But yeast, you have to put live yeast in the flask A only. In flask B, we will not put the yeast. And then again cork की सहायता से इसको फिर से इसको सील कर देंगे. Now before sealing it, put some oil in both flasks so that a layer is formed. Now this layer will prevent the oxygen in the air from dissolving in the वाटर. ना एयर एंटर होगी और इसमें से ऑक्सीजन, एयर में से ऑक्सीजन वाटर में डिजॉल्व नहीं होगी. सो बिकॉज वी वांट टू शो द रेस्पिरेशन विदाउट ऑक्सीजन. अब आप थोड़ी देर बाद क्या देखोगे कि फ्लास्क ए में बबल्स गैस के दिख रहे हैं आपको ये अपरेटस ऐसे सेट करना है. ये ट्यूब, यू शेप ट्यूब लगा के एक एंड फ्लास्क में और एक एंड टेस्ट ट्यूब में. दिस टेस्ट ट्यूब इज़ हैविंग लाइम वाटर दोनों केसेस में. और थोड़ी देर बाद देखोगे यहाँ पर बबल्स दिखाई दे रहे हैं गैस के. एंड व्हेन यू विल सी दैट व्हेन दीज बबल्स arise and they will move in this tube and lime water के touch में आते ही lime water will turn milky. So it shows that carbon dioxide gas is released. Carbon dioxide कब release होती है? जब respiration होता है. So that means yeast here is respiring in the absence of oxygen, and it is proved by turning this lime water milky. But in the flask B, yeast is not there, so no respiration will be visible and lime water will be as it is. Clear? Children, sometimes during heavy exercises such as long distance running, our body cannot get enough oxygen to produce the required energy. So to get the additional energy, anaerobic respiration occurs within our muscle cells. And in this process, there is partial breakdown of glucose to produce lactic acid. And the accumulation of lactic acid in the body causes muscular cramps. That's why sometimes we have cramps after heavy exercise. You might have felt. And we can get relief from these cramps by massaging the affected part or by having a hot water bath. But both these activities improve circulation of blood in the body. और circulation of blood होता है तो क्या होता है? Supply of oxygen is increased. और इससे क्या होता है? जैसे ही ऑक्सीजन मिलती है, so this result in complete breakdown of lactic acid to carbon dioxide and water. So we get relief from these cramps. So this is all about chapter 11, respiration, children. I'm sending you PDF of question answers of CD part, exercise work, solutions, and you do write the question answers in your notebook neatly and draw the related diagram with the answers in your notebook. Solve AB part and then tally with your solutions given. Thank you so much.